Hey everybody, David the AI Guide here. Thanks so much to all of my subscribers, especially the new ones, and please follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. Also, I want to remind you that at the end of each video, we're giving job tips for jobs that are safe from AI. And clearly, this channel is focused on folks from high school to 35, and you're in your either figuring out what you want to do with your career, or you've started your career and maybe you want to make a change. But either way, we're going to be providing resources to help you find jobs that are not likely to be automated in the reasonably foreseeable future. So stay to the end and get that information. So today I'm going to talk about supply chains. It may not sound like that interesting a topic, but it actually is, and I'll tell you why. So supply chains basically means where you get things that you sell as a business. And today's supply chains are mostly global, right? So China, as they say, is the world's manufacturer, but that's not exclusively true. There's a lot of manufacturing hubs in other parts of Asia. India, which is part of Asia, but sometimes thought of differently. And there's manufacturing hubs in other parts of the East. Like Japan, of course, and Vietnam, Korea, etc. So many of the things that a business sells today, whether it's an online business or a traditional brick and mortar business, are sourced globally. And so what does this have to do with AI? Well, these supply chains can be disrupted. We certainly found that out during this COVID-19 pandemic. And you want to be able to make your supply chains as efficient as possible and make them as resilient as possible, meaning if there's a disruption from one source, you have another source. That's critical for some things that are hard to get, right? I mean, let's say there's only 2 places in the world to get a certain thing that you sell or as a component that goes into something you sell. Well, you better make sure you have access to both of those sources, right? Because if one has a problem or decides to stop selling to you, at least you have the other one. So this is supply chains, and you can see from these very superficial comments that this is a very important area. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I stumbled across something this week that I thought was interesting, and it's a company called Remy.ai, and I will put the link below the video, so check that. But Remy's mission is to do something that isn't that typical yet. So the big companies, especially the Fortune 100, which are massive corporations, right, are doing certain things with AI. Well, this has been very, very expensive. And that is why many companies still have not adopted AI. Most small businesses are not using AI at all in their business processes. Many, I'm going to say the vast majority of medium-sized companies are still not using AI. Why? Cost. Now, there are some standard software packages that many companies do use, mid-sized ones at least, not the small ones, like Microsoft Dynamics, Great Plains, or Solomon, or SAP One, those kind of systems that people use to run their medium-sized businesses. Those are starting to have AI built into it. But I'm thinking more along the lines of specific AI applications. A couple of areas where things have started to change in that regard brings up Remy. And Remy's mission is to bring Fortune 100 AI-driven supply chain management to any company, meaning it's not super expensive. And Remy is focused really on retail, right? And I think they have one other segment, but it's mostly retail. So a retailer has a lot of different items, which they call SKUs, on their shelves. And keeping track of all those and keeping inventory at the right level is really important. You don't want too much and you don't want too little. Well, Remy uses AI to detect usage rates and set what's called a reorder point, and then it will tell you to reorder something. Ultimately, it'll do it for you. You won't even have to do it. That'll be a very short step from now if it isn't in Remy's system already. But most companies want to still do their own purchase orders and not turn that over 100% to a virtual assistant. So, but the comfort level will get there once people see that a system like Remy very well manages inventory and keeps you from running out of things that are starting to sell well and keeps you from ordering things that aren't selling well. Then eventually people are going to fully automate that process all the way through ordering and payment for that order. That will be here in the relatively near future if it's not already. And there's other ways that even medium and small size companies are using AI. And another one is called a chatbot, which we've had a specific episode about a couple of months ago. But chatbots do basic customer service, answer questions, or they will connect a customer to someone who can answer their question in a specific area. Chatbot use is really starting to take off based on both algorithm improvement and computing power improvement. And next time we're going to have a discussion about a complete, unbelievable breakthrough in AI and computing power. So listen next time. But cheaper computing power and slowly declining costs in creating algorithms is slowly starting to, what they say, democratize with a small d, nothing to do with politics. It means make universally available technologies that so far have only been accessible to the biggest corporations with monster multi-million-dollar IT budgets. So Remy is very interesting. Check them out. I'll leave the link. This is going to become more and more common, even in customer-facing retail, like a chatbot, but more. I mentioned the robots last time, so things are going to change very quickly in this decade. So for jobs, supply chain jobs are great jobs, right? All companies still need people to help order things and keep inventory levels and find new things that they need and things like that. AI is a long way away from being able to do all of that. So there'll be human interaction in these supply chains for quite a while. So this is a kind of job that can be a great career for you. I have a buddy who started out working at a lower level in supply chain, and he did better and better and kept getting promoted, and eventually he ended up being the head of global supply chain for this company that was small when he started it, but it grew and grew and grew and became more than $1 billion in revenue. So supply chain jobs are good. So check those out. Thanks. Bye.